So what's the best way to compare supply chains? It's probably one of the questions I get asked most often. It's around benchmarking and KPIs and how do I compare my supply chain with others? Well, this week I'm going to show you how not to do it, and that's coming right up. So benchmarking your supply chain, comparing your supply chain against the performance of another, is a really good way to identify improvement opportunities and to drive improvement in your supply chain. But a lot of people get it wrong. And I'll tell you why they get it wrong, because they forget this old saying. They don't compare apples with apples. And what do I mean by that? You've actually got to compare your supply chain with a supply chain with similar characteristics. So let's go through a few examples of that. Let's say you're a retailer. This is your retail company, the Apple, and you've got 40 stores. You're a national business, and you're going to compare yourself against another retailer. But they're international, and they've got 2,000 stores and more SKUs and all kinds of things. So we're comparing ourselves, our apple with a banana. Doesn't work. We're both retailers, but very different retailers. So another way that you really need to characterize your supply chain and make sure you're comparing apples with apples is with the customer and order profile. So let's say your Apple business again is your B2B. You deliver direct into your customers' distribution centers, probably by the full truckload. And you're going to compare yourself with another business that is actually B2C. And they're predominantly doing online orders, and they're doing something like 3 lines per order. We're comparing your apple with a kiwi fruit. Doesn't work, even if you're in the same industry. What's another way that we might make sure that we're getting those characteristics right? The SKU count. So however many SKUs you have in your business, you want to be measuring against a business that has a similar SKU count. So here's your Apple again. Maybe you sell bicycle parts and you have 500 different product lines, 500 SKUs, which you think is quite a lot. And you're going to compare yourself with an industrial parts supplier, and they have 500,000 SKUs. Nope, we're comparing your apple this time with an orange. Very different supply chain, very different dynamics, very different characteristics. You're not going to get a sensible benchmark. What might be another, hopefully you're starting to get the picture here. Hopefully, if we pick another characteristic to measure, let's think about temperature. Maybe in your Apple supply chain, you're delivering ambient food products, maybe apples, fruit and vegetables, and you're going to compare yourself with another food company, but they're delivering frozen food. Again, no comparison. Their transport, their warehousing is going to be a very different cost structure because of the temperature control requirements. So it's simply not a good benchmark. You've got to be comparing apples with apples. And when we're actually doing this for our consulting clients, we pick 18 different characteristics, just to give you an idea of how you've got to make sure you're comparing like with like. 18 different supply chain characteristics, and only then do we compare our client against a group of similar supply chains. They don't need to be the same industry, they don't need to be the same product, but they've got to have the same characteristics. So just think back on those examples that we've gone through. Similar SKU range, similar warehousing footprint, similar distribution patterns, similar types of customers, temperature of products, and so on. If you get that right, then you're doing an apples and apples benchmark comparison. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Just a very short video this week. My apologies I wasn't here last week, but as I mentioned, I had a bit of flu and I could barely speak, so I've been sitting here with my honey and lemon drink just in case. But great to be back with you this week. And what I'll do is I'll have a look around for some other resources talking about benchmarking KPIs and comparative supply chain benchmarks, and I'll put those down in the description down below. And hey, if you've enjoyed this video and you're not already subscribed, do hit that subscribe button, the red button down there. And if you hit the bell, you'll be notified when we have new videos coming out, generally every Tuesday evening, Sydney time, weekly. Last week, I missed one, first time ever, so apologies for that. But great to have you join us, and look forward to seeing you next week.